There's a layer no one ever mentions in a styling video. It sits beneath everything else, and yet it decides how everything else behaves. You can spend a fortune on a coat, a blazer, a silk blouse, and still watch it collapse into something ordinary by noon because of what's underneath it. Meanwhile, there's a woman who walks into the same room in something far simpler, and somehow the fabric moves like it was poured onto her. Nothing clings, nothing shifts, nothing needs adjusting, nothing gets tugged back into place under a table. People assume it's the dress. It was never the dress. This has a name inside the world of image consultants and old-world dressmakers. They call it the foundation, the architecture worn before the outfit even begins. Every couture house builds a garment from the inside out, not the outside in, and that single reversal is the entire secret. Once you understand it, you'll never look at a bad fabric day the same way again, because most of those days were never about the fabric at all. Picture two women getting dressed for the exact same lunch. Same beige trousers, same cream silk blouse, purchased from the same rack. The first pulls the blouse straight over regular cotton underwear and calls it done. By the second course, the silk is clinging in places it shouldn't, the trouser line is pulling oddly at the hip, and she spends the entire meal quietly tugging at herself under the table, convinced the outfit was a mistake. The second woman spent 90 extra seconds before she left the house. She's sitting across from her, effortless, unreadable, entirely unbothered, because the foundation underneath is doing the work the outfit was never designed to do alone. By the time coffee arrives, one woman looks exactly as she did at 9 that morning. The other has quietly come undone, one seam at a time. There are 5 codes to this architecture. The 6th is the one almost no one talks about, and it's the one that makes the other 4 actually matter. The first code is the slip layer. Silk and fine fabrics were never engineered to sit directly against skin. That's precisely why designer pieces are so often fully lined, and why the women who look effortlessly put together underneath their clothes are usually wearing something you'll never see, purchased separately, invisible by design. A silk or satin slip full length under a dress, or a simple camisole under a blouse, does 3 things at once. It stops static cling from turning an elegant silhouette into a wrinkled, clinging mess by mid-afternoon. It creates a smooth surface for the outer fabric to glide over instead of catching on skin or seams every time she sits or reaches. And it adds just enough weight to the fabric that it falls in a straight, deliberate line instead of floating unpredictably with every step. Wear a bias-cut ivory slip beneath a fine wool trouser, or a matching slip in champagne beneath a silk dress in graphite, and the whole piece behaves differently within the hour. People don't register the slip. They register that she looks composed, even in wind, even after sitting for 2 hours in a warm room. That reading, composed, is worth more than any label sewn into the collar. The second code is the structured foundation piece, the one most women quietly retired the moment they left the workforce, assuming comfort and elegance had to be traded against each other. A properly fitted, seamless base, whether that's a well-constructed bra or a soft structured bodysuit, sets the line of the shoulders and the spine before a single outer garment goes on. This is not about compression. It's about posture, doing quiet work all day long without her ever thinking about it again. Look for 3 things. A band that sits level and doesn't ride up by the afternoon, straps positioned to pull the shoulder gently back rather than forward, and a smooth front with no visible seam under fitted knits or fine cashmere. A woman wearing the wrong foundation curves forward almost imperceptibly by hour 3, and every photograph taken after lunch tells on her. A woman wearing the right one still stands the way she did at 9 in the morning, coat or no coat. The great tailors of the last century understood this instinctively. The posture was built in long before the coat ever went over it. And this is where it gets interesting, because the next code is the one most stylists only mention in private consultations, never on camera. The third code is what the industry quietly calls the second skin, a light smoothing layer, not a punishing one, and the difference between those 2 things changes everything. This is not about disappearing into a smaller size. It's about giving fabric an even, uninterrupted surface to sit on, for the same reason a canvas is primed before it's ever painted. Choose a light control style, never the kind that leaves marks at the thigh or restricts breathing at the ribs. Both are visible mistakes, not invisible successes. Look for a waistband that sits flat without digging in, panels placed only where fabric tends to catch, at the waist and upper hip, and a length that ends well before any visible line under trousers or a fitted skirt. slide it under a camel wool trouser or a matte jersey dress, and the fabric stops announcing every seam of what's beneath it. The outfit simply reads as expensive, because expensive fabric has always relied on an even surface underneath to look the way it does in the photograph. The fourth code concerns the seam itself, or rather the deliberate absence of one. Visible panty lines under fitted trousers or a slip dress are the single fastest way to undo an otherwise flawless look, and most women never notice it's happening to them, only that something feels off without knowing why. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple once you know it. Seamless, laser-cut styles in a shade that matches skin tone rather than the outer garment disappear entirely under fabric, while a bold print or a mismatched color announces itself the moment light hits it. Fabric with any stretch or sheen, silk, satin, fine jersey, will reveal every seam beneath it. So this rule matters most exactly when the outfit matters most: at the dinner, the event, the photograph that will outlive the evening. A woman in a heavy cotton skirt can get away with almost anything underneath. A woman in a silk slip dress cannot afford to get it wrong. Here's the code most women skip entirely, and it's the one that separates a good outfit from one that looks deliberately tailored. The fifth code is weight at the waist. A soft, structured shaping camisole or a light waist-defining layer, worn beneath a blazer or coat, does something almost no one ever credits it for. It gives the outer garment something firm to close around, the way a picture needs a frame before it can hang properly. This is the quiet reason a camel coat looks sculptural and deliberate on one woman and shapeless on another, even in the identical size, cut by the same hand. Choose a piece with light boning or firm elastic panels at the sides only, never full compression across the entire torso, and a length that sits just below the natural waist so a belt has something solid underneath it to close against, rather than closing on empty fabric. Layer it beneath an ivory blazer or a camel wool coat, cinch the belt, and the entire silhouette suddenly has architecture instead of simply hanging fabric. And then there's the sixth code, the one that ties every layer above it together: timing. The foundation only works if it's put on in the right order, and this is where even careful women lose the effect without realizing it. Slip first, shaping layer second, structured piece last, each one settling before the next goes over it, never all three pulled on at once in a rush out the door. A garment layered in the wrong order bunches, shifts, and fights itself invisibly all day, no matter how expensive each individual piece was. Give it the extra 90 seconds in order every single time, and the whole architecture holds quietly for hours without a single adjustment in public. None of this is visible. None of it will ever be photographed, tagged, or mentioned in the comments beneath the video. And that is precisely the point. The women who understand the foundation code aren't dressing for what other people will notice. They're dressing for what other people will simply feel without ever being able to name it. That unplaceable sense of someone put together, unhurried, entirely in control of how she moves through a room, whether she's crossing it or simply standing still in it. At 50, this stops being vanity and starts being intelligence. You've already learned that the loudest thing in the room rarely holds the most power, and it is exactly as true underneath your clothes as it is in how you speak, how you enter, how you sit down at a table without announcing it. The great women of restraint, the ones remembered for elegance rather than excess, built their reputation from the inside out, one invisible layer at a time. The foundation was never about hiding anything. It was about giving everything you already own permission to fall exactly the way it was designed to fall. Which of these 6 codes are you already using, and which one is entirely new to you? Tell me in the comments below. And if this is the kind of detail you want more of, the layer underneath the layer everyone else is talking about, subscribe. Every week we decode one more piece of what makes elegance look effortless.